Good morning and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Denny Bedard. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Along with her trusted partners, Diane provides complete service for your real estate transaction and brings us guests who provide useful information on industry-related topics and trends. And now, Missoula Real Estate Today on News Talk, KGVO. Always a pleasure to have you with us on Missoula Real Estate Today. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. And a good buddy who has been here a time or two is back to visit on Missoula Real Estate Today on News Talk KGVO. Brandon Smith, Glidewell Investments and Insurance Group. Welcome back.
Danny, thank you so much. So good to be here. It's been a few months, and always love being a part of this great show. Thank you.
I don't, I guess we should, but before we revisit the background, I'm going to ask you about how the last 8 months have affected the way you are working with your clients.
Yeah, it's been a learning experience for sure. You know, didn't really know what we were stepping into last March, April, and then we had the big mandate, the big shutdown for 2 to 3 weeks where we were all quarantined, and our hand was forced to move to a full remote workplace. People working from home, and it actually went really well that first month. And so we started really analyzing, why did this go well? Is it just the fact that people are home, we're able to get on the phone, have conversations, we're not rushed, and our schedule's not dictated by time? And again, month 2, the same sort of thing. And so we have found we've innovated, and the way we have set up our business model is to be accessible to people. And so we really didn't have a negative hit in terms of relating with our clients. We already had the infrastructure in place, not knowing that it would come, to our benefit should we ever have a major epidemic hit our country and hit our world. So a lot of what we're doing is remote, a lot of Zoom calls, phone calls, conference calls. Still on occasion, we have some, in the office appointments where we've got all the social distancing and protocols and plexiglass set up and,
Sure.
the stickers on the floor, and we've done everything to err on the side of caution, but we are still actively moving forward and doing our best to make a difference and impact in our community.
When you go in Bagels on Broadway, they got the stickers too, and they're actually little bagels.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Does the insurance industry have any kind of an insurance logo that you can put on?
No.
Okay.
We had to print our own and make those. But that's one of those things. Like, as I've still had a little bit of traveling this year and seeing, how much money has been spent on stickers and decals and plexiglass in our unbelievable. It just
and
blows
masks.
my mind. Yeah, they're everywhere.
Absolutely. Okay, well, now let me kind of start at the beginning here. We need to get a little bit of the background and the history of Glidewell Investments and Insurance and your involvement with the company.
Yeah, I've been in the industry for 17 years. Family-owned business, Glidewell Investments and Insurance Group. Dave and Carolyn Glidewell, the actual founders of the agency, are my aunt and uncle. And when I finished school, was at a family reunion. We're up at Flathead Lake, and my cousin said to me, he goes, "Brandon, why aren't you working with us?" And I said, I don't know. And he goes, "Let's go to lunch next week." So we went to Hoo Hot here in town, and as we're talking, I was clueless. Like, I was fresh out of college. I didn't even understand what a deductible was or how it worked. My biggest concern was, what does it pay? I got school to pay for. I got life to pay for. I'm 21. What do we do? And so began the process there and came on board. And what at the time was a relatively, no disrespect to them and the family, but it was a small mom and pop agency, little location on Russell Street. And I came in and was going to use my schooling background in business and marketing to just try to grow this thing, build relationships. And so along with their support and my giftings and abilities and finding other people to get on the bus that have, better giftings and abilities than I have, we've been able to scale this thing and have a, beautiful building over on South Avenue and I think 21 employees now. And we are just all about impacting our community and loving people through finances.
Besides the family tie, did you ever get around to asking them, why did you want me in the first place?
I haven't. I think it's because I like to push the limits. I like to play the devil's advocate and ask the hard questions. And, I love change. And that goes contrary to a lot of people. So I'm always asking, like, why are we doing this? And if the answer is because we've always done it that way, I'm looking to change and innovate and embracing technology and ways to look at, our ideal client. A lot of industries out there, they have a certain demographic that defines their ideal client based on assets, net worth, zip code they live in, age. And I've really tried to transition our ideal client to the certain psychograph of a client. I want to know the way they think and operate. And when they think and operate the way we think and operate, it makes things a whole lot more efficient, and we're able to serve more people.
Brandon Smith with Glidewell Investments and Insurance Group. He is our guest this week on Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate on News Talk KGVO. Little bit back on the COVID-19, Brandon. Has it affected what clients are looking for? You talked about how it's affected your interaction with them, but what about what they're looking for? Are they coming to you for more investment advice and the conversation turns to insurance, or vice versa?
All of the above, quite honestly.
Yeah.
It's been interesting. Every household, every personal economy is different. And so we have clients who are reaching out to us because of their investment portfolio. What's the market going to do? In the middle of an election year, we have, there's all these concerns of the election and COVID and how's this going to happen? What's going to happen in businesses like, on Wall Street, and Fortune 500 companies are downsizing and going remote and having company layoffs. How's that going to affect my portfolio? And honestly, the easy answer is, you never get hurt if you jump off, if you stay on the roller coaster. If you ride it out, you're not going to get hurt. It's the people who jump off on the highs and lows that get hurt. And so, it's more about time in the market than timing the market. But we have clients who are calling us because their personal finances have been impacted. There's been layoffs. There's been cut hours. There's been sickness. There's been deductibles, out of pockets that they have to pay. And so they're sharpening their pencil and looking at their expenses. And so on the insurance side, helping them make sure they still have proper insurance at the best rate possible, hopefully, with the goal to lower their monthly premium so they can reallocate those dollars to those pain points. And then thirdly, we have a handful that are calling us just for the financial coaching and consulting. They're in a pressure situation and they need to figure out how to pay off debt, create a budget that works, live inside their means. We all know that we need to spend less when we make, save, invest for the future, but we don't. And it's a discipline problem. So working with people and helping them create the daily disciplines so that they have the big wins.
How well educated is the average client looking to invest? Do they have somewhat of a game plan and looking to you to advise them, or are they wanting guidance from you to establish things from, say, square one?
Yeah, all of the above. There's, I think like anything out there, there's those that are extremely educated. There's those that are looking to be educated. There's those that have no clue and are lost and wandering and heard that they should do this from their great uncle and he said this and this is what I want to do. And so the opportunity always presents itself to just, I was just talking with our team this week about empathy. The way to overcome these objections is just empathy. Don't try to get the client, the customer, to be where you are. Meet them where they are and understand their concerns, their pain points, what they don't know. And answer those questions, because when you sit down with someone, if you just listen, they're going to tell you everything you need to know to help provide solutions, rather than coming into those appointments with your agenda trying to provide for them the solutions you think they need. And so that approach has really shifted. So to answer your question, it really doesn't matter how educated somebody is, because our approach is to listen, find out where they are, and then help provide solutions that fit their specific needs.
Yeah. And that is such a great point, because at least they took the first step, right?
Yeah.
To make contact with you, and you can, together build and develop from there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I believe the difference between just a contact and a contract is that letter R. Mm-hmm. And I think I've said it on the show before. It's relationships. The difference between a prospect and a policyholder, between a shopper and a buyer, is a relationship. And so we are hyper focused on relationships. And we stay away from the traditional sales methods and the hard sale and scare tactics and all these other closes that you can go and read all these great sales books about on how. That's not who we are. We're in the business of people, not policies. And so when we make people our priority, everything else seems to take care of itself.
Yes, and we will talk more about that, the whole benefit of being a local agent here pretty quick on Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. And our guest, Brandon Smith. Nice to have Brandon back. He's with Glidewell Investments and Insurance Group here in Missoula. Insurance, you know, Brandon, it's a want-need thing. You might not want it, but it is needed. And in what areas do you feel most people are insurance deficient?
Yeah. The purpose of insurance is to cover what would financially devastate you, not inconvenience you. And I think we really have that flipped. And in fact, a lot of the advertising we see for insurance today is done very well. It's very funny. It's, from Flow, Mayhem, Farmers University, the Gecko, the Caveman, and it's all across the board. It's funny. But the truth is, when you have an insurance claim, something go wrong, it's no longer funny. It's not, it's not a fun game. And so, although the advertising is funny and the advertising is really about commodity, we've made it about price and being competitive with other carriers. And a lot of the coverages that we see on national television really are, in my opinion, for the benefit of the insurance carrier, not for you. It's a pure profit for them to add these little endorsements. Because again, the purpose of insurance in its purest form is to cover what would financially devastate you, not inconvenience you. So we see people who want to turn in a claim because someone broke in and stole their TV or Xbox. Well, if you're handling your finances properly and you have a little bit of money in the bank and emergency fund and savings, you can just go out and buy a new TV. It's an inconvenience, but that's not an emergency.
Right.
That's and so when you have your finances in order and figure out how to make your insurance fit inside that monthly budget, then you can insure for the catastrophic, and you're able to increase your deductible and no longer turn in claims and rely on the insurance company for the small mishaps in life, but use those dollars to get out of debt, invest, build wealth, make ends meet, rather than paying high insurance premiums. So to answer your question about where do I see most people almost deficient, not enough coverage, I would say it's their personal liability. We live in such a litigious society, and your personal liability on your homeowner's policy, your renter's policy, your landlord-tenant policy, that covers you worldwide. So perhaps you're at the golf course and your backswing, hits someone and they sue you. You look at someone the wrong way today and they're upset and want to sue you. I mean, the lawsuits are absolutely ridiculous. And if you have a great attorney, that attorney is going to go for the maximum dollar, in court. $100,000 is nothing in court today in a lawsuit. And so making sure you have the proper liability coverage to protect your assets, your net worth, everything you have worked so hard to build over the course of your life could be gone in an instant if you don't have the proper coverage. But oftentimes we sacrifice the proper coverage because we're uneducated. We don't understand what we have. We just needed to get insurance so we could close on the new home rather than really sitting down and understanding what we have and why we have it. It's amazing, even right here in Western Montana, how many homes I see that are valued at $300,000, $400,000, $600,000, and the homeowner carries $100,000 or $300,000 in liability coverage.
And the irony of that, you don't want to be perceived by your clients or customers as being some kind of an upsell guy. But to me, Brandon, the irony of that is for a minimal investment above and beyond what you're paying, you pretty much got it covered.
Yeah, I would say that the increase from $300,000 in liability to $500,000 is somewhere between $20 and $50 a year.
Yeah,
very minimal, very minimal. And so that's 3 coffees at Starbucks, a month or a year makes up that difference. And so when we sit down and really review a policy and make your homeowner's policy kind of a la carte, we can say, hey, this coverage here, this is essentially an extended warranty. Do you need that? Does it give you peace of mind? What's the probability of this happening? When we can remove that coverage, now we've just freed up dollars to increase the liability because we want to protect what would financially devastate you, not inconvenience you.
And along those lines, besides being, perhaps underinsured, what are some common mistakes people make when purchasing policies that you can help them avoid? I think you've touched on that a little bit, but other things that come to mind.
Yeah, it's a challenge. There has to be balance, and I personally believe anything out of balance can be dangerous or unhealthy. But there's a side of society who they just don't care. They don't want to be educated, and I think one of the concerns is you need to be educated. We're talking about your financial well-being, your financial future. If your finances aren't taken care of and protected, and something happens, you're going to survive. You're going to get through life, but it's going to be full of stress and anxiety and difficult situations. And so taking the time to understand what you have and why you have it, it's not going to take you more than 30 minutes to sit down with someone and really understand the ins and outs of what you have. And honestly, the biggest one is people buying homes. The interest rates right now are at an all-time low, and people are buying homes and refinancing by crazy. And the requests we get, hey, I need insurance on this home, got to close next week, just get it done. And they're so focused on locking in at that rate, getting closed on the home, moving to the new home, all fun things, all exciting things. They neglect to really take a look at the insurance and understand what they have. Then they move into the new home, and there's a leak through the roof, and there isn't proper coverage, and they point the finger and say it's our fault that we didn't cover that. When, we just want to, so where is that line, that balance? We can reach out as much as we want and say, hey, let's sit down and review this. But if people aren't proactive and wanting to be educated and knowing what they have, then we get stuck in this awkward, situation where we're pointing the finger at each other saying, you didn't have me covered. You didn't meet with me to find out what you wanted covered. And so I think that would be the number one key, is that the mishap is people not taking the time to understand what they have. And there's several other coverages that you could really look at, your personal property, your possessions, making sure those are covered. Here in Western Montana, there's a lot of firearms, and firearm coverage is very unique on different homeowners' policies. Some policies put a cap, a limit, and how much coverage there is for your firearms. Others have up to the policy limits of your personal property. So if you have $200,000 in personal property coverage, your firearms are going to be covered to that. So, if you're a gun owner, it's worth taking the time. And I know there's a lot of gun owners out there, and this is not a Second Amendment political statement. I know that's hot right now, but it's just the fact of, if you own guns, and that's, make sure you have, that's a lot of money that you have invested, and make sure they're properly protected. And just knowing your insurance carrier, asking the questions and getting educated on that is really wise.
I wonder if part of the reluctance to that, and this is not every gun owner, but I wonder if some of the reluctance of that goes back to, I don't want you to know what guns I have in my house. Yeah. If you don't tell them, you can't insure them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And look at me. I'm not a gun guy. I'm sure you can't picture me out with my guns, but
I don't know. You're pretty outdoorsy, dude. I wasn't thinking that at all.
So, I don't know. It's a different way of thinking. And so that comes back to the education and the conversation and that empathy, finding where people are and what's important to them. And if ensuring their gun collection is important, it's going to come up in conversation. But you've got to take the time to understand people's needs and
sure.
let them talk.
Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate on News Talk KGVO. Our guest is Brandon Smith with Glidewell Investments and Insurance Group here in Missoula. Earlier in the show, you referenced a lot of big-name insurance companies. What are some of the advantages, Brandon, that you can offer being 100% independently owned?
Probably the biggest is the option of just choice, options. That when you come, Danny, if you came to us and we sat down and said, hey, let's work with company A here, best coverage, best rate, fits exactly what you need based on our conversation, everything I know about you. And then a year from now, when you get that renewal in the mail and there's some sticker shock at a rate increase or a change in coverage, you don't have to go repeat the process and start calling 800 numbers and getting online and shopping. Because we are local, because we are independent, we have contracts in place with dozens of carriers. So just by a couple clicks on the computer, we can reshop that for you and take that time, save you the time, save you the pressure, save you the unknowns of, shopping for insurance, and come back to you and say, all right, Denny, we looked at 6 different carriers. What we're finding is, hey, we think you need to move to carrier B. And then in 6 months, we see this coming down the pipeline. Let's move back to carrier A or whatever. We have an invested interest in you. And so the second positive to being independent is we don't work for the insurance carriers. I don't wear a shirt with a carrier logo on it. The truth is, I work for you, the client. And so my allegiance and loyalty is to you, not to, the big insurance companies. And so I'm an advocate on your behalf. And so we really do our best to not be just an insurance agent. We're looking to be a consultant, an advisor. we don't want to be perceived as, that used car salesman, that look that there used to be, back in the 90s or the life insurance guy. Like that's not us at all. Our heartbeat is really to be an advisor, trusted advisor. We want to be in those conversations with your financial planner, your attorney. Like, what do you need to be properly protected? What's your attorney advise? Like, let's be a team. Let's work on this together. Get everybody on the same page so that in the event of an accident, we don't have insurance carriers, insurance agents, you as a consumer, your attorney, your financial planner, all pointing fingers at each other. Let's get everything together on one page and have a game plan that is going to give you the results you need, and that's what's best to protect you and your family, either financially, your assets, and your future, your retirement.
But of course, as an independent agent, you do interact with multiple companies to present lots of options. How is that dynamic? What is your relationship, and how do you interact with those companies?
We have, there's reps from all the carriers that, have those what seemed like monthly, perhaps they were quarterly or biannually appointments. They stop by the office and we meet and we review numbers and questions and concerns and how's it going, what can we do, and the benefit to COVID is those appointments haven't happened. They're all remote and emails, and so it gives us time. But we have valuable relationships. Some of the carriers we work with, just their reps, their executive leadership team, all the way up to president and CEOs that we've built relationships with over the last, Glidewell GIAG has been around for 40 years, started in 1980. And so the relationships we have with the carriers are strong and healthy, and they've become friends. We do a lot of work with Safeco Insurance. There's Nationwide, Progressive, Travelers, Hartford, Liberty Mutual. I mean, the list goes on. And Safeco Insurance is based out of Seattle, Washington. And so whenever my family travels to, their Safeco Field, and so they become friends. When you travel to Washington, you grab lunch or dinner with them just because of the relationships. And the relationships are great and healthy and what I believe this business is about. But on the back end, when there's an issue or a claims issue, it's amazing to have those relationships where we can just pick up the cell phone and call, somebody in, an executive, senior leadership at an insurance carrier and say, hey, we need some help here. Can we, speed up this process? Can you have somebody look into this? And so it's everything we do. Our goal is to be customer centric, and using the relationships we have really do benefit the consumer.
You've got some letters beside your name. I'm going to ask about, whether it's ELP or CAA. Let's start with, you are an endorsed local provider. What does that mean, and what are the benefits?
Yeah. Dave Ramsey, who airs right here on KGVO.
Evenings, weeknights.
Weeknights, 7 to 10 p.m., I believe.
Something like that.
Got endorsed by Dave. Went through a process with Dave and his team back in 2009. And we are Dave's trusted insurance advisor right here in Montana.
Okay.
So if you go to Dave Ramsey's website, you're looking for help with insurance, you plug in your zip code, he is going to connect you with us and us with you. And so we really take that Dave Ramsey model, that philosophy of personal finances, and make that fit into insurance. You've heard me mention budget a few times here, and that's a key component. I think a budget is very freeing and liberating. When we hear it, we think, oh no, a restriction and guidelines and rules and no fun. But really, when you live life inside of a budget, you remove that stress and pressure. When you're at the grocery store paying for those groceries, you're not playing the game of what should I put back? Can I afford this? Or rent's due on Friday, or the power bill's coming up. And you live inside a way where you're free because you're managing your money rather than your money managing you. And so we have the opportunity to, honestly, Denny, thousands of people just this year have come to our office seeking help with their finances, with how do I get out of debt? How do I create a budget that works? Help me with, because they're in a tough situation. And so having that endorsement by Dave Ramsey has been huge for us. And part of the agreement with us and Dave is if we have this endorsement, we have to give the same financial advice Dave Ramsey would give. And so we do. We live it. We believe it. Our team lives it. His baby step process of, have an emergency fund, get out of debt, get on a budget, invest, and save for college and for your kids, and then working on the mortgage and being generous. That's it works. And so there may be other models and methods out there to handle your finances, and but this works for us and our clients. And having Dave's endorsement is truly an honor.
And what does it mean to be a claims assistant and advocate?
Yeah, so in our office, we have a gal, Roseanne Hyde, who's been with our office longer than I have. I think she's been there 21 years, and she is the best of the best when it comes to claims. Her knowledge, her expertise really is the way I would define those letters after the name are just a white glove service. Wow. When it comes to claims of, hey, let me handle this on your behalf. I know your basement flooded. You're having a bad day. Hey, I got all of it under control. Go grab a coffee, relax. We're going to take care of this and remove, try to make it as simple and easy as possible. Yeah. And one of the biggest frustrations we hear from clients or from prospects is the claims process, how difficult it was, how frustrating it was, how the lack of communication. They would leave messages for adjusters and not get calls back. So we've really set that up in a way where our clients don't ever hear that because we have Roseanne as the middle woman, and Roseanne is able to call them, respond to them, say, here's what's going on, here's an update. Sit back, relax, enjoy this, go on vacation. We've got this. And so really advising and helping people through the claims process.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate on News Talk KGVO. And our guest, Brandon Smith, Glidewell Investments and Insurance Group here in Missoula. I also want to say thanks to some of Diane's marketing partners that help bring you the show every week. Rob Fleming of Man Mortgage, Miles Link with Opportunity Bank of Montana, and Carol Blodgett from MakeItMissoula.com. Great show. We're almost out of time, Brandon. I want to get at least one more question here for you. I know you feel that, and you've expressed it here in the program, and you can just really feel the passion for the product. I know you feel it's really important, really matters to you that your clients receive service from the same person they buy their policies from. Is that one of the most rewarding aspects of what you do?
Yeah, it is. Again, there's no 800 number or call center. You work directly with us. We give out our cell numbers, our social media handles, like reach out to us, engage. We have found that people, again, back to the empathy, one of the objections we hear from people around the state of Montana is, you're not local. I'm in Billings or Bozeman, and you guys are in Missoula, or I'm in Glendive. You're not local. And what we found is what people really are saying is, I want to make sure you're accessible. I'm in rural Montana, and it used to be, hey, we walk down the street and walk into our agent's office, or we see him at the corner cafe, and times have changed. And so that objection really isn't, you aren't local. It's, are you accessible? And so we want to make sure we are completely accessible, whether it's cell phone, email, snail mail, FaceTime, Zoom, however people want to meet, we're there. No 800 numbers. You always get a hold of the same person. And then in our office, we actually have a guideline that if you get a voicemail, you have to return that voicemail within 1 hour. Even if returning it is, hey, I got your voicemail. I'll look into it and get back to you later this week. We will never be the office where people say, I didn't hear back from them. They weren't accessible. They weren't local enough.
Well, in the final minute, let's talk about that contact info as much as you want to share. How do people get a hold of Brandon Smith with Glidewell Investments and Insurance Group?
Best bet, honestly, just seem to always be on the move. It's probably email or social media. bsmith, BSMITH at GIIG.com, or at Glidewell Group on Facebook, Instagram, or you can find me, Brandon Smith, all over any social media platform, and would love to engage and answer any questions that may come up.
Great job as always, and as always, great seeing you.
Thank you so much, Jenny. Always an honor. Appreciate all you do.
Thank you for listening to Missoula Real Estate Today. If you have any suggested topics for any future Missoula Real Estate Today programs, or any questions about buying or selling, contact Diane Beck with Windermere Real Estate. Email DianeBeck@Realtor.com, or visit her website, HomesInMissoula.com. That's HomesInMissoula.com. We'll see you next time on Missoula Real Estate Today.